Yo, what's good, YouTube? Matchbook Glock, and I'm back with another YouTube video. Hey, man, today we got rapper Lil Durk arrested in murder for hire plot. Hey, you new to the channel, man? Make sure you drop a like on the video. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about it, man. Subscribe, man. Don't forget to subscribe. Man, we're on the road to 200 subscribers, man. Lock in with your boy, man. Let's get straight into the video, man. Let's go.
A popular rap artist is behind bars after a shocking
Damn, man, not
arrest,
Durk, man.
as authorities accuse him of being connected to an alleged murder for hire plot. Chicago rapper Durk Banks, better known by his stage name Lil Durk, was arrested yesterday after allegedly attempting to flee the country, and at this time he's being held in a Broward County jail in Florida, awaiting transfer to the U.S. Marshals. According to the FBI affidavit, the Grammy Award-winning rapper is charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire. His arrest comes on the same day as federal prosecutors announced in California the charges of 5 other men for the attempted murder of Georgia rapper Quando Rondo, whose real name is Taquayan Bowman. Prosecutors say those 5 men all have ties to Chicago gangs and all targeted the Georgia rapper in retaliation for the murder of Chicago rapper King Von. According to prosecutors, all 5 men, who include Kevon London Grant, a.k.a. Vonnie, Asa Houston, a.k.a. Boogie, David Brian Lindsay, a.k.a. Brown Eyes, Keith Jones, a.k.a. Flocka, and DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, a.k.a. Didi. They all face charges including conspiracy to commit murder for hire, committing murder for hire involving death, and use of a machine gun in a violent crime resulting in death. And the most serious charge carries up to the death penalty if convicted. According to prosecutors, all 5 men have ties to Lil Durk's hip-hop group Only the Family, also known as OTF. OTF was founded by Lil Durk more than a decade ago. And according to the FBI, OTF members engage in violence, including murder and assault, at the direction of Lil Durk and to maintain their status in OTF. King Von, whose real name was Davon Bennett, was also a part of OTF and frequently collaborated with and was a longtime friend of Lil Durk. King Von was shot and killed in November of 2020 outside a nightclub in Atlanta. He was killed in the early morning hours of November 6 during an argument between 2 groups that escalated into gunfire. And he was fatally shot by Quando's associate Lil Tim after the argument. The indictment doesn't name Davon Bennett, a.k.a. King Von. Instead, the charging documents state a high-ranking OTF member described by the initials DB got into a physical altercation with someone referred to as TB, and the circumstances surrounding that incident mirror King Von's murder. The indictment says after DB's death, co-conspirator 1 made clear in coded language that they would pay a bounty or monetary reward to anyone who took part in killing TB for his role in DB's murder. That co-conspirator is allegedly Lil Durk, who authorities say made it known he would pay a bounty to anyone who killed Quando Rondo. According to the court documents, the men used an OTF-associated credit card to buy plane tickets to LA in August of 2022 to search for TB, who is allegedly Quando Rondo, and using funds provided by Lil Durk. Durk allegedly texted an associate arranging the flight, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." And prosecutors claim when there, Kevon Grant booked a hotel room for the men to stay at and provided the others with firearms. Grant allegedly procured cars, ski masks, and firearms that were used to find, track, and kill TB. According to the FBI, there is video evidence that Durk was staying at the house in the San Fernando Valley that day. A lot of the stories that we cover here at Law and Crime are very tough to tell. But part of the reason we're able to keep bringing you these types of stories is because of our great sponsors. So I want to take a moment to thank Upside for sponsoring this story. If you're wondering what's Upside, well, it's a free app. Sometimes I only have to use Upside completely free that you can whatever you're to get. So many of it you could on your first. Want to winch had a fake. According to the indictment, Kevon Grant allegedly rented 2 cars, one of which had a fake license plate for the men to use and follow Rondo and his 24-year-old cousin. But when Rondo and his cousin stopped for gas, according to prosecutors, Asa Houston allegedly drove to a nearby alley before Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and a third unidentified man known in the indictment as co-conspirator 2 carried out the shooting, which was captured on surveillance video. Rondo wasn't injured. However, his cousin passed away after being fatally wounded. According to court documents, the 5 men and co-conspirators used facilities of interstate and foreign commerce, such as planes, cars, cell phones, and the internet with intent that the murder of TB be committed. After the shooting, according to the indictment, the men went to a nearby burger spot to discuss payment. Then on the same day, the credit card was used to purchase tickets for Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, Asa Houston, DeAndre Wilson, and co-conspirator 2 to travel back to Chicago. Lil Durk wasn't named in the charging documents against Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. But according to the indictment, the defendants were offered money and lucrative music opportunities with OTF for the murder of Quando Rondo. Okay. Prior to Lil Durk's arrest, the Chicago rapper was being sued by the mother of Chicago drill rapper FBG Duck. FBG Duck was murdered in 2020, and his death led to several convictions in a federal conspiracy trial last January. But his mother sued Lil Durk, OTF, and King Von's estate, alleging they were all involved in the shooting as well. According to the suit, OTF operates as a criminal enterprise. After Grant, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston were arrested Thursday, the FBI says Durk booked 2 flights from South Florida airports, one to Dubai and one to Switzerland. He then reportedly booked a flight to Italy, but was arrested in Miami before he could board that flight. Lil Durk and the other defendants are being held pending their transfer
but Durk
back
trying to get up out of there.
I want to bring on now Detective Eric Barnes to break down this case even further. Eric, thank you so much for joining me today. You know, Lil Durk is a really popular rapper, but what's your reaction to his arrest and his alleged connection to this murder for hire plot of Georgia rapper Quando Rondo?
Well, you know, it's a very interesting case. I've been following it for some time now. But it's very representative of things that are going on within the hip hop community these days. One foot in the studio, one foot in the streets.
And talk to me a little bit about retaliation within gang culture, maybe even hip hop culture as well, too, that we can even trace back these events in particular, kind of in a way, starting from King Von's death in Georgia in 2020, and 2 years later, Quando Rondo's attempted murder, where his cousin was actually killed during this ambush. What is your kind of reaction to just this whole web and trail that has been going on essentially since 2020, even probably prior to that too?
Well, you know, one of the things that's been popular with hip hop artists is to maintain the same group of friends that they had since they were kids.
Yeah.
Maintaining that loyalty, not changing up and becoming a new person because you have fame. And so in keeping these alliances, you know, sometimes there's beef that follows from the streets into rap. And, you know, like I said, these guys live, you know, day to day, and their alliances also live that same lifestyle.
And, you know, reading through this indictment, there appears to be this really heavy level of planning to allegedly carry out this murder. Plane tickets were bought, cars were rented, ski masks and firearms were bought. Talk to me a little bit about the sophistication you may have noticed within the planning and these allegations.
Well, you know, one of the things that you have to, the hurdles, so to say, that you have to get over in this case is just the geographic difficulties going from Chicago to California to commit this offense. And so there's only a couple ways you can get there. Either you can drive or you can fly. And, you know, obviously the advantage of flying gives you more of a time advantage. You can get there faster, but you also leave an electronic footprint. And that's what it seems like law enforcement was able to pick up on, was the electronic footprints that were left from purchasing the tickets. Now, when you fly, you also have to have transportation on the ground. So you have rental cars. And if you're there for an extended period of time, that also leads to maybe a hotel stay.
You know, as we talk about this level of planning, it also appears there was also this element of not so great planning if you didn't want to be caught. And some of the 5 defendants actually used their real names, their birth dates, and photo IDs to book this travel. And then one of the co-conspirators actually texted another co-conspirator saying, don't book no flights under no names involved with me. What's your reaction to kind of just doing this allegedly and using your real name, your real ID, but also kind of wanting to keep this on the down low as well too, of not wanting to get caught?
Well, I think that you know, when I read over that, I was kind of surprised by that, with how you know, unhidden that was. But I think also it plays to the element of what their motivation was. And it seemed that, you know, there was some discussion of payment. And so sometimes individuals are so intrigued by being able to get their hands on whatever this payment is that they overlook small details, and leaving your name on a receipt or on a reservation is one of those things that they
trying to get in the booth.
When we see kind of these types of cases, a lot of times, I think sometimes the defendants are allegedly always kind of wanting one specific target. But then there are some cases where someone else is hurt or killed, kind of in this focus of retaliation. What are your thoughts, given that Quando Rondo's cousin was actually killed when the murder was allegedly plotted for him?
You know, I think it's always unfortunate that innocent people get caught in the line of fire. It's something that we deal with often. within street violence. But I also think within the streets, there's also a mentality when there's a retaliation and gang culture that if you get caught riding with someone that I have beef with, then it just kind of, it's the rules of the streets.
Yeah.
Like you put yourself in that situation and now you have to, unfortunately, read the circumstances of it.
And there's also been rumors circulating online that there might have been an informant or even a snitch within
Yeah, they
OTF
saying
that may have revealed
it's
more to
friends.
the feds. Do you
They
think
saying
that's at
it's
all
friends.
possible in this case, that they needed an
So
informant on the
they
inside to kind of
had
give
ran
a
it,
scoop
rat in
into
the inside.
kind of how everything
Well,
was planned
wired up
out
for
and
years. That's
kind of how
crazy.
everything kind of came to fruition?
Shit, we'll know it when he
Well, I know
hit the
that there was
stand.
very detailed information, and it definitely indicates that the investigators did a great job digging up surveillance footage and being able to uncover some of the intimate details. I don't know if there was an informant necessarily, but
I
it
got an
seems
extender
that
on them up.
they do have some very personal details in their indictment.
And given if there was possibly an informant, kind of how do they all play a role into this case? Because again, within the culture, a lot of times there is a no snitching policy.
No
But
snitch.
what are your thoughts on whether or not there might have been an informant and kind of how that may have all came into this as well too?
Well, you know, the no snitching thing is very huge in the street and within the hip hop culture. But one thing that within the law enforcement community, when someone is looking at a significant
Hey,
sentence,
Grammy.
which I think murder for hire either carries in some sort of way situations, death penalty, and also life in prison. You know, it's every man for himself at that moment.
Yeah.
And so the old cliche of the first one to talk gets the best deal, normally that weighs very heavily in these cases.
Some of the defendants, in addition to being offered money, were also promised lucrative music opportunities if they carried out this murder. And I know we've kind of been having a discussion about, how rap culture kind of bleeds into gang culture. But what's your reaction to kind of this lucrative opportunity given they carry out this bounty?
Well, you know, it's the American dream of wanting to be able to create a better opportunity for yourself and your family. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of individuals have, the dream of making it in the rap business, and you're just not given the opportunity. So that is something that is going to be very alluring to a lot of individuals because they not only want to be able to have the rap contract, but also the rap lifestyle. And some people are willing to do whatever it takes to get that.
And sometimes when we see these cases, especially gang cases that are also kind of double as like hip hop cases, YNW Melly, this case with Lil Durk, even
Melly, Durk,
YSL, I can't
YSL.
help but notice just how
We got
young
some good.
some of the
We need that
defendants are
real
and
trial
some
ASAP,
of the alleged activities that they're being accused of doing. They're so
Think I'm
young,
free,
in their
bro. We
20s,
ain't trying to deal
probably
with no
started maybe when they were
mistrial
teenagers.
and
But what are
they
your thoughts on just
retrial
how
again.
young
No.
some of these defendants are when they're kind of coming up, like you had just
Said at 3
mentioned,
in the
wanting
morning.
this
We locked
American
in. We
dream, but then
grinding
at the
right
same
now.
time,
But it's gonna pay
having
off.
this kind of tie to the street
Tell you it's
culture
gonna pay
where
off.
maybe they don't see the actual consequences of what could happen. Either they go to jail or they may end up dead on the street. What are your thoughts on just that whole layer and aspect of it?
Well, you know, I think one of the things that weighs heavily on the influence is the fact that, a guy that you may have grown up with, seen around the neighborhood, now he has his lucrative rap contract and is driving, foreign cars and living in
Yeah.
expensive houses and traveling, all across the country. They almost become larger than life. And
Larger
so
than
when you
life.
have a young individual that maybe hasn't had the best role models in life, what they're able to see this individual achieve is going to be larger than any kind of verbal warning that someone can tell them. They're going to take their word as being, good. If I can carry out what is being asked of me, then maybe I can live this lifestyle as well. And I think that reality weighs heavier than any consequence that you can think of.
And as someone who is a detective who works with street gangs, kind of what are you hearing from the inside that you'd be willing to talk about on camera as far as, maybe just what the motivation is to kind of continue to be a part of this lifestyle?
Well,
Got face change
honestly,
so quick.
what everyone is doing right now across social media as well as the streets and within the street culture is they're kind of unpacking this indictment. They're trying to breaking it down line by line, trying to piece things together, figure out if there is an informant, also figuring out if this was something that was carried out on behalf of King Von, and just connecting the dots on, their
No
from their
chat. What if
levels.
this case
But I
bigger than the
think that
YSL? What if
what
this case
factors
turned out to
into
be
that
bigger than
is the
YSL?
the theory that you know nobody plans to get caught.
Slam or Rico.
You know, the plan is we're going to do it. We're going to get away with it, and we're looking 100 yards down the field instead of seeing what's going on right now. And the factor of getting caught now being named in a federal indictment, that part is not really thought of too heavily because, again, nobody factors in that I am going to get caught for this.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to the little Durk aspect of it as well, too, you know, he was, again, a very popular rap artist. He had a lot of popular songs, and a lot of fans did look up to him. But it seems the rap artist aspect of it as well, too, you know.
Still is.
He was, again, a very popular rap artist. He had a lot of popular songs, and a lot of fans did look up to him. But it seems, though, as we don't know at this particular point, but it seems, though, a lot of people may be alleging he's kind of the kingpin in a way of the OTF, and that he is someone who carries out these plots, essentially kind of running a criminal enterprise. What are your thoughts on just kind of how people allege these popular rap artists are these kingpins in a way of criminal street gangs?
Well, I think with this case, it's going to be very interesting in how it plays out, but we're going to really get into the basics of rap being entertainment, or rappers really living what they rap about. And I think there's definitely something that's a hurdle that investigators are going to have to get over, with just proving that this little Durk's role in OTF wasn't merely entertainment, that he actually had a role within the street culture of OTF.
And do you see any other hurdles that investigators may come to find when they're kind of going through this case?
Well, you know, anytime that you're dealing with multiple people inside, you know, in an indictment, co-conspirators, what's people's roles kind of change, you know, and then there's money as well involved with some of the people that were discussed in this case. So it's also heavily influenced by the street life and culture, gang life and culture. And so what they have today may change, and hopefully on the investigators' end, what you see in that indictment would only kind of snowball and grow larger. Maybe they're able to develop more evidence and convert some of these co-conspirators into witnesses for the government.
All right, Detective Eric Barnes, I appreciate so much your insight into this case. Before I sign you off, is there anything else you'd like to add about just where the case goes from here?
No, I think from what we see in this indictment, that the investigators did a very solid job investigating this case, and kudos to them.
All right, Detective Eric Barnes, again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
According to reports, Jones and Houston have a scheduled hearing in Chicago on Monday. However, Grant, Wilson, and Lindsay have reportedly waived their right to a hearing and will instead be sent to Los Angeles. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Milner.
Hey, bro. Crazy, man. Free Durk, man. Free Durk, man. Free smoke, man. Better free smoke. Hey, man. Like this video, man. Make sure you drop a like on the video, man. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about it, man. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, man. We're on the road to 200 subscribers, man. Hey, smuggle up. I'm out.